Welcome back to Only Here in KC with Connie Gutierrez, and I'm so excited. Hi KC City, welcome back to Only Here in KC with Connie Gutierrez, and today's special guest is Haley Robertson. She is an artist here from Kansas City, and she's also very creative and has a bunch of little skills that she's going to talk about us today. So I'm really excited of having her. So welcome, Haley.
Thank you for having me, Connie.
Of course. I am so excited to have you here because there's a lot of things that like we're getting to know each other just in a different world, but there's a lot of skills that you have, and you are a very creative soul, and I think this is like a perfect place to have you and for viewers as well to get to know you. So can you tell us a little bit about you? I know it's a loaded question.
It is. Luckily, I've practiced this many times. A little bit about me. I'm from an hour north, St. Joseph, and I just recently moved to Kansas City in October. I've traveled the United States with my previous jobs. I went to Mizzou, and I graduated with a business degree and an art minor. Ultimately, I always knew I wanted to pursue art. And yoga instructing and sound baths have just recently entered my field of awareness, but I've always known I'm creative. I've always wanted to be in the creative field and just getting in there and brainstorming and just being in that sort of field. So I was led to Kansas City. 2020 happened. Everyone knows that fun phrase. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I was led back to St. Joseph, and I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. I was just in Austin, Texas, and thought I
love Austin.
I know. It's amazing. I was pursuing music organization, just getting into the music industry, but I was led back to St. Joseph. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then I decided I wanted to move to Kansas City after I did my yoga teacher training, and I really saw a lot of potential, and I see a lot of potential in Kansas City. I love the art scene and the music scene and the community in general, and I just see it developing in such a beautiful way. So ultimately, I wanted to tap into that holistic field, but also create events and around all of that.
Right. And so it's crazy that we both come from a very creative place. So like when you're telling me this, it feels right because like when you feel it, when you're like, you know, and in a weird way, it's like this energy that you're like, how do you express it? So it seems like you have found it in like music and definitely your art and different aspects, and it's all pulling you back to Kansas City, which Kansas City is an amazing place because it is growing and it's expanding. And the communities in like dance or art or yoga, like they're small in a tight-knit like community that makes it even bigger, and it makes it such a big impact. But I want to tap into your, there's so many things that we're going to talk about, but I want to tap into your art specifically.
Yes. I'm so happy that you asked me about all of that, and you've already shouted me out on Instagram, and I love that. So I guess to really start, I have always, I took art classes in high school, and obviously I'm an art major. I had already mentioned that. But I've just recently tapped into that place of creating from my heart.
Okay.
And so my project is the Artichoke Project.
Yeah.
And this just came to me. I've always loved artichokes. My family, it's kind of like a symbol. My family, we all love the artichokes. I even have an artichoke tattoo on my arm. It's kind of
you know it's serious when you have a tattoo. You're like, okay.
Yeah. But the bottom of the artichoke is called the heart, and it's heart artichokes. I mean, you have to cook them for an extended period of time. It's dedication to eat one of those. So this project is like an analogy of getting to that center, the heart. You're peeling away every single layer to get to the heart. And what that really symbolizes, and what it's an analogy of life, of relationships, of personal growth, and even like spirituality. A lot of my projects they center around that journey, around my journey to my own heart, to being vulnerable in my relationships, my yoga journey.
Right.
It's all around those concepts.
Right.
So that concept as a whole is really an analogy of life.
And I hope you know that ever since like you explained, like I've been drawn to artichokes recently just because they're so good, but like I've tried cooking them and I'm like, it is a process.
Yeah, it is.
But when you start telling me about the project, I was like, I will never look at an artichoke in any way like differently, because it's so profound. Like it is an analogy of peeling the layers. And I hope viewers at home, like you go out there, if you've never tried an artichoke, they're really good. But that you just discover like how creative in a person and how much work and growth I'm sure you have done to come up with that analogy of just a simple thing, product, and like a produce, and like make it this profound into an art piece, which is, I think, is the most beautiful thing ever.
Well, another thing that I think about is really, I mean, the lessons that the artichoke teaches us, but also, okay, just look at, when you go to the store next time, go look at an artichoke and look at the top of it, and the geometry in that specifically, it's sacred. It's beautiful, and the fact that our earth can create something like that, you just know that there's something more. And that's kind of what I want to exemplify in my art, is this this idea, but also this truth that there is something more, you know? And I just remember, I'm like, whoa, I was so inspired when I looked at the heart one time. I'm like, I'm seeing sparkles and these crazy colors, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I want to show that, and I want to really get into it. So it's like that sacred geometry that really inspires me.
Yeah, and viewers are home right now because you've shared with us some of your work, and you'll share with us as well where we can reach you and kind of follow your projects. Because this is kind of fairly new that you're diving into.
It is.
But you're diving into it. I mean, the work that you have on your Instagram, like, it's beautiful. And that's the beauty about, like, I so much admire and have so much respect, especially like in Kansas City with artists, because you have your, like, not your niche, but like that's your signature, like, for that. So I don't see that I've never found somebody, an artist that is so profound with that. And you do it so beautifully. So I'm glad that I get to have you here and kind of get you like a little started. So remember me.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
I'm starting off there. So aside from your art, you also, I've booked you too, which I'm so excited about this, and I've never done that. And for viewers at home also, it's something new. I'm going to a class of yours actually there you're hosting. So can you tell us a little bit about that world of tapping into like sound bath and like meditation?
Yes.
Maybe how you got into that, and then just a little bit about sound baths.
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, I'm a yoga instructor, and during my yoga teacher training, we received a sound bath. And a sound bath, the best way I can describe it, some of you may have seen it on, TikTok, Instagram, all of these.
Yeah.
But think if you've ever done, like, if you've ever have a little wine glass or a cup and you move your finger across it, it kind of makes a sound. So it's that same idea. There's two different types. There's a couple different types. They're crystal bowls. They're quartz crystal bowls, and then there's also metal Tibetan sound bowls. Okay. So you it's like a gong as well. So you strike them, and then you can kind of move that move the palate around, and it creates a frequency. It sings. And these frequencies, they're matched to and toned to our energy centers in our body and the chakras. So what these bowls do and these sounds do is they release stuck energy and they get those centers moving, and they allow us as humans, we hold a lot in our bodies, and these sounds allow us to release those energies, or at least just move them just a little bit.
Right.
And also what they do is tap into different brain waves, so that they allow and they facilitate to tap into the different brain waves in order to get the benefits of meditation, stress relief, deep relaxation. I know our world needs that
a lot now,
So I heard recently, deep relaxation facilitator, and I'm like, I really like that. So what my classes and what I want to really promote in those classes is deep relaxation for your body and ultimate self-care.
Okay.
And so I include some stretching, and I include some symbolism, like bringing in turning inward and what those poses may mean, and maybe a certain chakra or a certain thing wants to be shown. And I also include some intention before class too. I like to invite the individuals that are joining to set an intention and really what do they want to release, or what do they want to call in, because ultimately it's kind of like a prayer at the end of the day.
So, wow, there's so much. And I'm just, even listening to you about it, I'm like, because I'm going to go to one of your classes, and I've never done one of these before, but I'm in a place to where, like, trying something new. And and you said this, to where our world, I feel like now more than ever, needs to somehow, with all the chaos that's happening, needs to go within. And I feel like moments like this, that experience that, you provide, I feel like that's important, because it forces, in a way, the mind to kind of shut down in a way, like let go of everything. And there is science behind it with the chemistry and the sounds and the brain waves, the brain waves, because I've read a lot of articles that go into that. So it is a meditative state. So for somebody new that is coming in and like to take one of your classes, can you tell us a little bit about like what is the length of the classes? Like, somebody who's wanting to try it, like myself, before you said set an intention. But what does that process look like within one of your classes?
So the idea, of course, like I mentioned, the deep relaxation, about an hour long.
Okay.
30-minute sound bath, 20 to 30-minute sound bath, because I know people are starting out. And the 20 to 30-minute mark is when you really tap into that different brainwave.
Okay.
And where you start to gain those benefits. So, 20 to 30 minutes. And beforehand, we do the stretching, maybe some breath work, and I just ask and invite for an open mind and all of that. So I think it's for an hour long. You might fall asleep too during it. I don't think, and if you do, you probably needed it. There's no shame or like, judgment in it all. It's like the time is never wasted when experiencing something like this.
So with sound bath, and then with that being, I know we've talked about yoga as well. Is sound bath just, and this is from like a newbie's perspective, and I'm sure viewers at home will want to know, is that mixed with yoga, or is that completely different? Like, is it just meditative? Because I know yoga can be meditative as well, but what does that look like? Is it mixed, or is it separate?
You lay there. You lay in the Savasana pose, corpse pose, just, and you are or you can sit, but you want to get as relaxed as possible. And it's really up to the practitioner where they want to take you.
Okay.
And where they're maybe feeling the room wants to go as well. I like to include some of the stretching, but I may not include some stretching. I may just, explain a little, maybe sometimes, and get right into the sound bath. It really just depends on all of that.
Well, it sounds like a beautiful experience.
Yeah, there's a vibe to it.
Yeah.
There is a vibe to it, and it's really fun too. I remember going up to some women after my first one, and the look in their eyes are like, I needed that. I needed it.
Just that moment.
And it's fun to experience something new, in my opinion.
Yeah,
at least.
no, it is. And for viewers at home, I'm always an advocate of like trying something new, and if somehow this resonates to viewers at home, like to try it, we'll share where they can contact you and take your classes.
Absolutely.
And I know you do some private events that I'm so excited about.
Yes, I will do private events.
But kind of taking a little step back. So what brought you into, have you always practiced yoga? I know you're very creative. So is that something that has always been in your life?
Yoga, I remember my first class in college. I've always been athletic. I love sports and playing sports. Not really a big sports person, but playing sports and working out and taking care of my body. And so I remember my first yoga class. It was in college, and it was a hot yoga class, and I just enjoyed all of the movements and getting very precise with the alignment and going into this pose called Birds of Paradise, which I learned was an actual real bird recently, side note.
What?
Beautiful colors too. That's one of my inspirations, is the colors of this Bird of Paradise. So
wow, I need to look it up.
It's beautiful. So taking those classes, and then I saw someone got their yoga certification. And I'm like, that's interesting. I need to be I need to be a perfect yogi to go to yoga teacher training, of course. I learned later on, you don't need to know a thing about yoga. If you just want to go to yoga teacher training, you can. And I know that people want to, they've started some immersion courses to, see if you actually want to teach like levels before you go into the 200-hour. It really started in college, and then I just loved the idea of the mind-body-spirit connection.
Okay.
And it's like tapping into those higher levels of consciousness that I've always found so interesting. It's like, wait, this isn't it? Just what we're experiencing right now isn't the only thing that we can experience. We can experience other levels of consciousness. Like, how do I do that?
I was like, and I see it as a therapy.
Yeah.
And holistic, like you mentioned before.
Definitely. I think just moving your body in general it can be a therapy. And focusing your mind, when you start to focus your mind on movements and the breath, start to let go of the things that are filling your mind.
Right.
And a lot of people say yoga is life, and I 100% agree, because everything you do in yoga carries over to life. And that's another thing I love. I mean, my whole I like the analogies.
It is a lifestyle. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not just, I don't view it as something you just pick up and do. Like, if you really wanted to, with everything, you implement into your lifestyle. And it becomes, I have friends who meditate daily, morning, afternoon, and all that, and it's part of their life. It's just, and if they don't, it's almost like, whoa, the day's off. So no, it's definitely like a way to implement it. And you were mentioning as well, you said something that made me think about how chaotic like our world can be. And like these meditative states, or like yoga, or like sound bath, are like a way of regulating like our body and our mind essentially to that. Because there's so much happening, pulling at us daily, that the hardest thing is like, you put a human being in a room by themselves to just think about their thoughts, or like whatever's going on in the world, like birds chirping or whatever. It's like, that is not easy.
that would scare
it's a skill.
a
Like,
lot of the population,
exactly.
I would say.
No, it is scary.
It is. It is.
Because to sit there with by yourself and like have that, but it could be a meditative state or just yoga, and like where you're focused on that and you're really just focusing on listening to your body, your heartbeat, your breath, because there's breath works and all this stuff, which is why I find you so fascinating. That in a way, like, you came into my life at a perfect time.
Aww.
So I'm so happy to have you here, because I feel like the world needs to hear this. Like, I feel like these type of episodes and just like these, knowing that there are different ways naturally that people can heal in their own way, whatever that may look like. For everyone is different, but just to be open to new things. And I do see this as a movement coming in stronger, that the world, I don't know if they know right now that they need it, but I feel like a lot of people are gravitating to that. So
I think 2020 was that perfect time where, well, we're all forced to slow down.
Exactly.
And to really sit with ourselves. That's ultimately what I did. Really allowing myself that time, because I often put so much pressure on myself and working through that. But when we slow down and really think or not think, and just not think, but meditation, it's not thinking, it's noticing, and that can carry on throughout our whole everywhere. When we're cooking, when we're cleaning, it's like, what is your meditation for you? And I totally agree. I think that we're moving into this different we're moving in a different way in humanity. And I think that this holistic view is really coming into light, and I'm excited and happy to be a part of it. I feel so much, I feel blessed, really, and a lot of gratitude, just that, like, I'm on the journey. And for whatever reason, I get to do all of this stuff.
Right.
I get to do this.
So Kansas was pulling at you for this, to bring you here.
I truly believe that I'm meant to be in Kansas City right now.
Yeah.
And tapping into all of the healing world, and my own spiritual journey here, and sharing my gifts.
Yeah, because it is a gift.
Yeah.
Skills and gifts that you're continuously, as all of us, working on, and you are able to share that with other people, which I feel like that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right? To just be able to share what you have. And with you're doing it to help people, and to, to just really open up to themselves and find that grounding, whatever that may look like. Because it may not be meditation. Like, it may not be like you try something bad, but it opens the mind to, well, let me try something else.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the question is, what is your meditation? Where can you find more mindfulness and being easy on ourselves?
Yeah.
And taking care of ourselves.
And I feel like it's constantly changing too.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm like, music is like my thing, and sound, but like now meditation. And so you never know what you tap into at whatever point in your life you're in that it comes in. But I think in a way that is like, everybody, and I've never thought of it this way, has their own meditation. Because I feel like there's a stigma with meditation. Like, I feel
Definitely.
like it carries on. People say, oh, cool, meditation. Like,
it is. I totally agree with that.
And it could turn people off.
Totally.
It's like, not my thing. But really, everybody has their own way. If we think about it, what meditation, I don't know what the actual definition is in whatever book, dictionary.
Yeah.
But it is a meditative state to where whatever calms you down, I see it as like, feels like grounds you when you're in that like fight or flight mode, or you're like so high stress on a day, because I feel like humans right now are very high stress. But what brings you down, I feel like that's your meditation. Like, whatever brings you down and grounds you and centers you, that's a meditative way.
Yes.
Right.
3 deep breaths.
Yes.
Slowing down. I agree with you. The meditation, that word is like, well, I can't meditate. I can't shut off my my mind.
Right.
But really, like I mean, it's noticing what's there, what thoughts are coming up. I picture like when I'm like, you know, meditating, you know, they're like little, you know, hot air balloons flying by, or, you know, like, hi, how are you? Or like paper airplanes. And, you know, maybe you caught one and you're following that thought, but, oh, you've noticed you're thinking now. And that's when you come back to the breath.
Okay.
I love breathing, really. Like, when you like, think about it.
It's the simplest thing. It's literally, when we're born, it's breathing. Like, it's so simple, but it's so hard for people. And like, it's such like a simple thing. And I have a friend who talks about breathing, and she's, you know, in a way we've talked about it, and like, the reason I laugh at that is because, yeah, like I love breathing. I'm like, no, I know. Like, it's amazing.
I know.
Because it regulates like oxygen. I know it keeps us alive, but it is amazing.
But we don't think about it.
We don't.
Well, the brain will do it itself.
Like, just the simple fact of, you know, you're in a high stress point and you just like take 3 deep breaths, or you're in an argument, or just like, you're having this, you know, when you feel your body's like, what's happening, reacting. Like, if you just take those 3 deep breaths in that moment, it is life-changing. Yeah. Like, what comes after that is like, hopefully better.
Yeah. Well, can I share a story?
Yeah.
I was just in Sedona, and we did at a retreat, and we did a sweat lodge.
Okay.
This thing got up to 200 degrees, but the first 5 minutes of the sweat lodge, I'm like taking it all in. We're in this like hut thing, sitting crisscross applesauce, and there's 2 doors open. He goes and shuts the first door. I'm like, it's gonna be pitch dark in here. Oh my gosh. And then he's starting to put the wood in the fire, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm having this reaction, this fear response. My heart is like going like this. It's pounding out of my chest. I can hear it. Yeah. And then he goes, and I'm like, and my body wants to run. I want to crawl out of there so fast. Right. And he then shuts the other door, and it is indeed pitch black in there.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
And it's like, hope no one's afraid of the dark. I'm like, I didn't know I was afraid of the dark. I'm having this reaction that I didn't even realize I was going to have, because I'm super excited about this experience.
Right.
And I'm having this reaction. I'm like, okay, what is this? I'm like aware of what's happening.
Like, your mind is trying to process it. Like,
yeah. I'm aware that I want to run away. I'm also aware that I want to stay, and that I can get through this response. And I focused on my breath, and people around me, they thought I was just doing some yoga thing. I'm breathing extremely loud, in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's the cooling breath. And I'm probably doing that for about 5 minutes. And then he kind of showed a light, and I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I'm good. Still breathing. And then we started, and my body starts to calm down, and it was almost exhilarating. It was so empowering that, oh my gosh, like I was focusing on the breath, and it got me through it. It got me through that fear response, and it could have gone way south, though. I will tell you. I know where it could.
Start knocking on the
Oh yeah,
breaking out of there.
Yeah. That's that moment of awareness and surrender to.
Yes, I love that you use that word.
Surrendering to the moment, and it felt like that surrender moment. First 5 minutes in the thing in the sweat lodge, which that's what the sweat lodge is meant for, is this surrender, where you're putting yourself through. Why are you putting yourself in a straight up oven? But it's meant to it's a Native American tradition, but it's meant to get to that point of surrender and trust within yourself and within the universe that
exactly
it has you.
I love that you share that story because it's a moment of uncomfortable.
You're uncomfortable.
You are so uncomfortable. There's like things letting like what the doors closed and all that. Like I'm a very visual person, so when you're doing that, I'm like, I'm over here feeling these emotions as if I'm living it.
Yes.
But it's that uncomfortable again, coming back to you and listening to your body and like in a way centering like it's gonna be okay.
Yep.
And the breathing comes in, which is so powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
And
I don't know how I would have reacted.
It was wild because I didn't realize that I was even going to have that reaction. And I knew that it was a fear response.
And when you get through that moment, then it's that adrenaline of like, oh, like release it. Like, you just went through that.
And then we were singing and
that sounds so fun.
Praying, having some prayer.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful.
That's amazing.
Awesome experience.
Okay, well, I feel like we could literally talk about all of this. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna have to invite you at some point to come back and like maybe we'll go into the studio or something and like kind of let the people kind of see what it looks like to be in your world maybe. That would be nice. But since there's so much, I mean, oh my goodness, yes. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you and for opening up and sharing with everyone. And I hope viewers at home, like you're intrigued or maybe like planted a seed to try something, even as small as like taking away with like the breathing and focusing on that, or even going to Haley's sound bath or yoga classes or seeing her work and following her work on Instagram. Can you share with the viewers where they can reach you at? Also the studio, maybe just a little information on any events if you have any events coming up.
Absolutely. I do have one this Sunday, June 6th at 6 p.m. There are a few more spots left. I do plan on getting into the parks around Kansas City. Yes. And I'll post about that. My Instagram is Haley Rob, or no, it's not. It's Haley R. Rob, Haley HALEYR Rob. On Instagram, and then my art Instagram is the.artichokeproject. the.artichoke.project. And reach out to me if you'd like, if you have any more questions, if you're interested in a private sound bath. I'll do events. I'll be going to the parks. Those will be free, donation based. I might have some canvases out there where you can experience just some creative flow yourself. Yeah. And I teach yoga every week. I teach a chicken and pickle up north at Indigo Vibe and at Ready Set Flow.
So you have a lot of options. You can go to all of them. You can pick and choose. I mean, you're literally all over town that we'll just have to find you somewhere. Yeah. And a park. I'm really excited now with everything happening, kind of slowing down, or I guess the summer speeding up. Now everything's opening up again.
But a lot of people are going to be out and about. And I just envision this like 100 people just taking it in. And
trust me, yes.
It's maybe... And with the birds and being outside, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, if this did not like somehow touch your soul like it did for me, like I've enjoyed this conversation, then I don't know. I'm just kidding. No. Go ahead, follow Haley. I'm sure we'll have her back at some point. And I want to thank you again for being here. You have such a beautiful soul, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you for being here and sharing that with us.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone, and Connie especially.
Thank you.
This is awesome. I love it.
Okay, well, I'm sure we'll be seeing Haley around town, and if you see her, you'll probably find me next to her, taking some of her classes because I'm a big fan. So thank you, Kansas City, for tuning in to Only Here in KC today with Haley Robertson. And yeah, tune in next time. And thank you again to Exo Films and Televida and our director, Joseph Garcia. And I will see you next week. Adios.